It may be rainy today on the South Coast, but BC's wildfire season has begun. This week, we're looking at what's being done to prepare for the fires and learn from lessons past from last year's fire season. Our health columnist, Dr. Melissa Lem, joins us now. Thanks for being here. You've worked in northern BC and during past wildfire seasons. In that time, what stood out to you?
I have. Well, I've worked extensively in northern BC and in Yellowknife, which was just evacuated last summer during the wildfires. And I've been there during smoke events where you step outside and it's like you're in front of a smoky campfire blasting in your face. And certainly I see lots of health impacts on the people who work there. So for example, I see kids coming in with asthma exacerbations, people with worse mental health, depression and anxiety, and also people with chronic diseases like heart and lung disease, and also outdoor workers, including firefighters, coming in sicker. And I will mention there are real impacts on healthcare workers too. So I was meant to work in Yellowknife at the end of last summer, and my stint there was canceled at the very last minute. But for a while, I thought I was going to have to go and leave my family behind. So there are real impacts on a large number of people within the healthcare system and within our patients as well.
You mentioned a large swath of people there. Is there any group that you saw, and in general, particularly the most vulnerable?
Mostly people with chronic heart and lung conditions, and there's a lot of evidence showing that people with lung disease like COPD and asthma have worse exacerbations. And we also see more episodes of abnormal heart rhythms and also heart attacks coming in during wildfire smoke events.
How many of those, you mentioned mental health, how many people mentioned that feeling of just, I mean, it was bad enough here on the South Coast where there were fires that were close, but not evacuation close. What about that weight that people were feeling?
Something that I really see is not necessarily people saying I'm concerned about the smoke necessarily, but something that I do see is just higher rates of people coming into my office with anxiety and depression. And the reason is likely that they can't, for example, head outside and improve their health in that way and relieve their stress in that way. But also wildfire smoke directly crosses the blood-brain barrier and causes inflammation and can worsen mental health directly that way.
And in terms of mitigation, if somebody can't move, if they're, depending on their circumstance, what are some steps they can take to try to relieve some of the impact of wildfires?
Well, in your home, you can, for example, keep your doors and your windows shut during smoke events and also run air purifiers. If you have to head outside, wear an N95 mask, and then avoid worsening air pollution inside your own home during smoke events. So, in fact, not burning candles, avoiding vacuuming, and avoiding using your gas stove because that puts air pollution right into your kitchen. And then around your home, if you live in a fire-prone area, keeping flammable and combustible materials away from your home, planting fire-resistant shrubs and trees. There are lots of good tips, actually, on different websites online. And then last but not least, a lot of us can work together societally to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels because that's driving climate change, which is worsening wildfires. So there are so many things we can do on many levels to prepare ourselves, but also evidence does show that when we make a plan and when we prepare, we feel less anxious about wildfires too.
And that helps physically and mentally.
That's right.
All right, Dr. Melissa Lem, we appreciate your time and expertise as always. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.